Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Dark Avengers WARBIRD. I'm pretty sure this is one that people were looking forward to quite a bit, and when I first got it, I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool, that looks pretty nice, and I took it out of the package and looked a little bit closer, and I have to say, this figure is impressive in that it makes you think it's good at first, but then it's actually pretty terrible. Don't shoot the messenger. I wanted it to be as good as everyone else wanted it to, I'm assuming, and it's simply not. There are some things that are good about it, and we'll definitely talk about that. This is a review, and I'll talk about the good, but I will definitely also talk about the bad, because that's what helps you decide if you should save your money for something more fun. So let's go ahead and get this off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before I show you the figure, I do want to show you my package. It's fine. I like their new direction with the nice squared edges, good packaging, don't need that little thing at the top, don't need the weird curves and things. I think it's good packaging for standard, basic figures. I think it's good. Some artwork on the back that really shows you how cool the figure could have looked if they wanted it to look cool, but instead it doesn't. Even this looks way better than the figure. It's like they don't even try to hide it anymore. They're not trying to make good toys. It's just a shame. So yeah, packaging is a nice upgrade from the old packaging, but makes me sad because the toy doesn't look good inside. So before we get into the meat and taters, I want to continue to do a little bit of housekeeping. I adjusted my lighting a little bit more again, so let me know if you guys like the way this video looks. If it looks nice, let me know. And let me know how you're watching. Is it on a phone? What type of phone? Is it on a TV, a computer? Let me know, please. That would be very helpful. And I will mention, as we're doing this, I guess, 6 1/4 inches. I'm not counting her hair. It's going to be about 16 centimeters. I did just complete last night the first live stream on the channel in a long time, and it went really, really well. And for now, the live streams are going to be every other Monday. So next Monday will be a no stream Monday, but then the one after that we'll have another one. So make sure you come by for that. She seems kind of tall. But it's not too bad. Okay, let's get into this review. The aesthetics first. This figure is on the newer body, which has been hit or missed depending on the release. Let's see how it looks. Well, at first glance, I thought it looked pretty good, and then I looked at the hips, and I thought there's something weird going on there. And the weird thing about those hips is that they're incredibly narrow. And if you've been collecting Marvel Legends for any amount of time, you know that that is not their specialty. Their specialty is giant thigh gaps and sticking the hips out way too far. You can see his hip right here is sticking out past his pelvis piece. Right? There's a big lump right here. This is a male character, by the way, so it should have narrower hips. And a giant thigh gap. Here you go. Giant thigh gap, wide hips. Almost all of the Marvel Legends look like that. Except this lady. The lady who should have the wider hips, they're sunken in. They're sunken all the way in. And I'll show you that even more when we get to the articulation portion. But it is not... It makes her look terrible. It's, compared to what it would look like if they weren't like that. And there's no reason for it. As you'll see when we get to the articulation. It's very disappointing that they did that. They did give her some chesticles, which they haven't done in a long time, and they're quite large. They are really, really big on this figure, like surprisingly big. And they gave her a little bit of shape in the portrait, so that's nice, I guess. But the weird hips thing is very strange. So they're moving in the right direction to some degree to make them look more like comic book characters. But the narrow hips thing is just weird. The head sculpt, I have to say, not too bad. The eye paint job is really nice. The mouth looks good. The hair is sculpted well enough. I thought it was painted well, but then I looked up close, and it actually looks like the paint has been scratched off in order to do the highlights. Like, it looks like white plastic, or like a cream plastic, where the yellow paint has been rubbed away. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera, but it's not a good look. It looks really, really bad in person. It keeps losing focus because this yellow is kind of weird. There you go. Hopefully you can tell. It looks really bad. It looks like a terrible quality custom for that paint job for the hair, so that's really unfortunate. The paint job for the chesticles is actually surprisingly good. Getting the star in between the individual chesticles there, not easy to do. And they did a pretty good job. And then the black line is pretty clean also, so that's good. And that's kind of, well, I guess we can talk about this part right here. It's okay. They molded the legs in flesh tone, which is the right call for sure. And then they painted the red and black. And it looks okay. I wouldn't have guessed that they painted the black, but they did. And it looks nice. It's not bad at all, so I'll take it. But otherwise, it's just, the hips really ruin it. She seems to have gigantic hands again, and the narrow hips and relatively short legs for like a superhero character. She should have longer legs. It just doesn't have the right appeal. It's not terrible by any means, but it's not good. It's very run-of-the-mill for Hasbro, which I was expecting this one to be a little bit better, so I'm disappointed, but I'm going to give it a 7. I think it's about on par with what they release. Alright, now as far as accessories go, we do get the alternate head. A little bit better hair, or I guess I should say windswept hair. Face is, I don't know, the eyes are painted, so that's cool, but I think the other head looks better overall. There's a little bit of a weirdness to the shape of this one. It's just not, for me it's not as good, but it's fine. Objectively, it's perfectly fine. For hands, you get a couple of fist hands, I guess that's a good thing. And you get some swirlies. We've seen those 1,000 times. They're fine. If you like some swirlies, you get some swirlies. That's it for accessories. This figure is bare bones. It's bare minimum, really, for this price point. You know, people could argue nothing would be bare bones. Not really. Not for this price point. I'll give this thing, again, a 7 out of 10. It is par for the course for Hasbro. Not impressive in any way. But let's get into the articulation, because it will impress you with how bad the hips are. Man. Alright, so she has the scarf piece, which obviously gets in the way of the neck, so the head is not really moving much at all. These are not really action figures in some sense, because there's not that much thought put into them being posed a lot of the time. Like, that's pretty bad. Now, they did give her butterfly joints that have some range, and I guess that's better than no range, and then they're fairly well hidden on this body, so that's okay, but it's gummy and has very little range, so it's not real fun to handle, but it's not a bad joint, it's just not good. I guess the shoulders work nicely on the ball hinge, full rotation, and obviously up to horizontal at least. Bicep swivel is fine, double jointed elbow is gonna joint. It's gonna work, so that's okay. And then the wrists, of course, have your swivel and hinge. Nothing new there. We have the diaphragm joint on here, which leans back quite far. That's pretty good. And how far does it lean forward, you're wondering? Almost 0. 0 lean forward. To the side, a little bit. Not too much, which is really unfortunate because you don't get any sideways leaning down here because they did the ab crunch. You get your rotation up here, but the ab crunch that goes back goes all the way back, which is something you would never need and looks terrible because it's basically a 90-degree bend, and her pelvis, her hip bones are sticking out. And her abdomen, really. It's, what's the point of that? It looks ridiculous. What? Why? Don't put this crappy reverse ab crunch on there and then also do a bad job with it. Her spine's broken. She's been folded in half. And then leaning forward, it's honestly not much better. It looks so bad. Let me get this arm out of the way. Goodness gracious. But they have people actually defending this joint. Look at that. What is this? Spina bifida? It's, man, put a freaking ball peg in there. A ball peg here and a ball peg here and you're done. Because then you can rotate down here, you can rotate up here, and lean in literally every direction because it's a ball. Not some goofy-ass reverse ab crunch that lets her lean in the most unnatural way possible. That is just nuts. Now, for these hips that are clearly sunken in too far, watch this, guys. You're going to be really impressed. That's the maximum range, and they stick in. They actually tuck in. So you end up with this big ridge right here that you don't need, because if the hips were in the right place, if they were sufficiently moved outward, they would have better range, and they would look better like this, and they would look better in the neutral. This is just not good. This is not correct. They put the point of rotation way too far to the center of her body. And then going forward, they can go up to horizontal, but they have to kick out to the side pretty far, but the range is there at least. Nothing going back. Thigh swivel is a thigh swivel. I will say, I didn't mention this before, I forgot to. The skin tone's really, really nice on here, and I don't mind the sculpt on these legs too much. It's a little slender, but it's not a bad set of legs for Hasbro. I'll take it. Double jointed knees work just fine. That's all right. And then for the ankles, these are the same kind of ankles we've seen about 1,000 times. They have all the range you would need, and they work pretty well. So, yeah, for Marvel Legends, I would say it's about par for the course. Again, there's a lot of flaws, and they don't need to be there. And otherwise, it is completely mediocre. It is the quintessential Marvel Legends figure. So I'll go 7 out of 10 again. This joint is terrible, and these don't work properly, and the head can't rotate properly. The butterfly joint is gummy. It's just like the absolute bare minimum you can do to make an action figure these days. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up with, I'm going to give it an overall 7 out of 10 for Marvel Legends. And that means if you're not into Marvel Legends, don't buy this. You're not going to enjoy it. They're not very fun figures. They're not well considered when they're built, or anything, really. It's just not. It's not. If you're not filling rosters, there's no reason to buy this, honestly, unless you really love this particular version of this character, because it's your only choice as far as I'm aware. But that's really the only reason. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's it from me. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.